This question is clearly messing with verb tense here, but we've talked in other modules about the way that the verbs could be different based on singulars and plurals, but none of that is really happening here. These are all verbs, maybe with the exception of D, which is plural, that really don't have any way of changing based on singulars and plurals. Once we're in other tenses, that singular plural thing kind of falls apart. So this is much more just about past, present, future. What tense do we need based on what's going on in the sentence? So let's take a look. Obsidian is a kind of volcanic glass formed when lava cools so quickly that the atoms inside it cannot arrange themselves in a crystalline structure. You blank more about obsidian structure, which is classified as amorphous, in a later chapter. Well, okay, if we're thinking about past, present, future, right, if we're thinking about tenses that way, then we need some sort of reference to time, because we need to know what the time is. Is it the past? Is it the present? Is it the future, right? So the fact that they're saying it's a later chapter is a really big clue that it's coming in the future, right? So you will learn more about obsidian structure in a later chapter. That's going to be the answer. It would be weird to say you had learned more about obsidian structure in a later chapter, right? Well, we haven't learned it yet, right? It's in the future. It's in a later chapter. Though notice if we switch that word to something like earlier, then we would change the tense as well. You had learned more about obsidian structure in an earlier chapter. So this just goes to show there isn't a randomness to the tenses for these questions. It's not like we're just picking whichever one sounds best. There is a clue. There must be something that tells us exactly which tense to use. Like I said at the beginning though, normally when we think about tenses, it's actually a distraction, and this question is actually about things like singulars and plurals or some other aspect of verb tenses, but this is just a pure past, present, future kind of question, and unsurprisingly, we get a word that involves time to tell us which tense to use. So if you're ever confused, look in the passage. Somewhere in there, they will give you some sort of clue. They have to, because it can't just be up to what sounds good. There will always be a provable reason why a certain choice is correct.